Hey, how you going? Jonathan Lowe here from Sportpunter, working with Steve from Daily Profit. We're here to talk about NBA today, which starts tomorrow, but just as an intro, we'll just have a quick little snap about NFL. Hasn't been a great start, but we've had a great week this week. This week was the week where we decided to up the ante on line bets, or at least start if you hadn't already done. History says from this week onwards we've done very good. Also, we started betting totals betting, which has done really good as well this weekend. So it's a great return for this weekend. I hope you've done well. Buffalo and Kansas, we're looking for an under. I think it looks like Buffalo just scored another touchdown, which is not that great. They also scored 10 points in the last 20 seconds of the second quarter. But hopefully that goes under. But I don't know, with those quarterbacks, who knows. But a great start for NFL this week when we've started to up the ante. So that's really good stuff. But today we're going to be talking NBA. And so we're going to go do an analysis of all our previous years, as well as last year, and also look at some things that we're going to be doing this year that we haven't done before. Very data heavy, entrenched, and dynamic analysis throughout the year, which would be really, really good to see, I think. So, firstly, let's have a look at the average total NBA scores. So here's a graph of the average total NBA scores per year. The red line is the preseason scores. The blue line is the actual regular season scores. And as you can see, the first thing you notice is that the red is lower than the blue, and that's because the starting five don't generally play the whole game. They give everyone a bit of a shot, and so generally the scores are lower. The other thing you can see is that they actually resemble each other quite well. When the preseason goes up, so does the regular time scores. So it's a very good indication of where the game's heading, what the scores are going to be. And as you can see from this sort of area up here, preseason started going up per year, so did regular time, and then just around here, it sort of stayed around the same, and went slightly up in regular season as well. And then last year went straight down, went down from about an average of 218 down to 215. It was off about 3 points, and look at that. So did the regular season. This year in preseason, it's gone back up. Okay, so I'm expecting this to also go back up as well. There are a couple of reasons where it went down. The year before, I think James Harden, they changed a couple of rules. People said James Harden would struggle. I think he only played 21 games anyway, and averaged 21 points. And this year it's gone back up. And I didn't include like Adelaide's slaughtering of Phoenix and their attempt to get a wild card next year's NBA. But as far as NBA teams versus NBA teams it's gone back up, and that's relatively consistent with the 3 years beforehand. So I'm hoping this year it'd be a lot easier to predict, especially at the start, where the totals are going to go, because between, not including last year, the 3 years before that and now, it's been relatively even. So let's have a look at our results. Now, this is great reading, but also not that pretty either. We've had some big wins going back from 2016, going up to 2020. We did have a model before 2016 as before, but it was also just as successful as these previous years. But I don't analyze that because the data is a lot more better since 2016 onwards. So to measure how well we're going to go forward, we use the same data set and all the statistics that come with it. Great profits, amazing profit, 2020-21, and this is also good profits at 10% return, a lot less bets than previous years, and we'll go into why that is. Bookmakers, this is obviously the COVID years. Bookmakers not releasing odds earlier because players are coming out of COVID and not playing, and then playing and whatever else. I think in that year, half the games, or maybe all the games, were held down in Miami. I think indoors, or something like that. Last year, disaster. We'll go into have a look at what happened last year. And hopefully we'll be able to fix things for this coming year as well. So these things we can look at and it's great, minimum overlays, but we really sort of want to work out what happened wrong last year. So anyway, overall, you're looking at a 0.1 overlay for overs and maybe a 0.15 overlay for unders as being the most profitable sort of here. Also, you're looking here, the profits throughout the year, not that great in season 2, which is the playoffs. I think this year we had a really bad playoffs. Last year we had a really bad playoffs result. But let's look into the season. What happened last year in season 2021 and 22? So overs betting, no good. Unders betting, also no good, but especially bad for overs. I mean, we normally bet more unders than we do overs in general. I think the public prefer games to go overs, so there's a little bit of a bias there. You did remember how the preseason went down? And we didn't adjust. Perhaps we should have adjusted our model slightly for that. And so therefore we had more bets on the overs than normal and consequently lost more as well. So I think this year we should have a lot more consistent year with those pre-season results coming up to what's been normal the last 3 or 4 years. And so therefore our predictions should be more consistent, I hope. If we look at the overlays, well, we're looking... You want larger overlays to have bigger profits. Unfortunately, this isn't the case here with the overs, and they're all pretty bad all the way down, even though there's more here lost. The percentage ROI is pretty ordinary on the over. Okay, on the unders, a little slight profit, whatever, for the larger overlays. But it's not that encouraging. Can we move on, please? Next slide. Let's have a look at the matches, like how we went throughout the year. It was an orderly start, and we have previously done amazingly well at the start. We got back a little bit, but then just went downhill. Down here, we lost a lot, and as you can see, that was mainly in the postseason. You notice, like, between 30 and 40 matches, this is 4 bets. I mean, bookies were not releasing probs. And so what we're going to do this year, I think, is we might even have an automatic system that I think I use Pinnacle or Vegas odds generally. Have an automatic system that releases, I don't know, just records the bets when they come, even if I'm sleeping at night. Or, but better still, I know that the Tab and a few other bookmakers, Top Sport, a few other Australian bookmakers release odds even before Vegas has. And so therefore, we might utilize those odds, I think. I think that might be beneficial. And then we don't get these situations where you like got in, between a team has played 30 and 40 matches, like how many teams are there? 32 teams, 10, that's like, so many games, we've only had 4 bets. These other ones might have been profitable, they might have been not. But either way, I think if we're getting odds even before Vegas has released odds, that's got to be a good thing. And we'll have a look at that further on. That previous one, this one is how we went on overs and unders. Early on in unders, we actually did well. Look, we did well in the first part of the season. And that was interesting because that pre-season drop did go down. So when we had unders, that was perhaps amplified to do well, and we did do well in unders. And then well, whatever, we didn't do that great going forward. If you don't include the overs late or in the first week, totals didn't do that bad. I mean, you can't say people will look at me and go, hang on, you can't say if that didn't happen, then we did well. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if we had adjusted better at the start for the possible decrease in about 3 or 4 points a game, we might have done better in the overs and perhaps better in the unders to start off with. And also in the postseason as well, we'll have to do some more analysis. We've got 6 months to go to the postseason, so we will look into that later. But there's still some positivity there, and I think, as I said before, with the preseason scores going up, there's going to be a lot more consistency, I hope, this year. As you can see, yes, so it goes up, so it's once again sort of more consistent with the previous 3 years before it. Now, we're going to have a look at some other things. We've got some players here. These are my player database score rankings of players. I've got Nicola at number 1, and yeah, we'll have him pronounce his name at number 2. Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Lakers at number 4. Now it's interesting LeBron James is up there because the Lakers are crap. Now I've got Anthony Davis down here at number 21, and Justin's down the top 20. But I just sort of have a look at. I've got Russell Westbrook as the 4th best player in the Lakers. I've ranked him at number 145. He's getting paid $44 million a year to be ranked 145. Yeah, well, I don't rate him, and perhaps that's why they're not doing that great. They're relying on 2 players. They're a 2-player team. Most teams have a bit more depth, Lakers don't. Anyway, so the totals betting hasn't been reliant on these ratings in the past. It has done so well, I didn't need to. These are how good a player is, not necessarily how high scoring or how defensive they are. I plan on getting the sort of rankings of that per player, and that will hopefully add a little bit more profit or a little bit more accuracy into the model. I have looked at this as far as line betting goes or handicap betting goes. It does improve it a little bit, but not enough at this stage to warrant making a profit or to betting hard on it. But this is what I'm going to look at, and hopefully that will come up soon, and we'll do that. But now I want to have a look at other ways which we can analyze. These will be very dynamic and very interesting. Everyone knows that how good you go betting towards the finishing price. So we look at 2 scenarios here. In this first scenario, we bet $100 at $1.90 on a team to win or get overs or unders or whatever else like that. The finishing line is $1.80. You can work out their expected profit. A lot of people know how to do this, doesn't matter. So we expect to make $5.56 from our $100 bet, about 5% pot. That's a good bet, irrespective of if the bet wins or not. It's a good bet. In this scenario here, we're betting at $1.90. The finishing price is $2.10. Expected profit is a loss of $9.50 or a 9.5% negative pot. That's a bad bet. Even if the bet wins, it's still a bad bet. So we can look at that year by year and how we've gone. We can look at that as the season progresses, week by week, and you may find that we've got a lot of good bets. Our expected profits up there at the start of the season and sort of fades away and maybe kicks up later or something. I don't know. But we'll be able to have a look at that and then determine how well our bets are going as the season progresses. And I plan on doing this live, so it will be updated every day or maybe at the start every 2 or 3 days or something like that. And so you'll be able to see how well the model's going, 1, by how well it's making profits, and 2, by how well it's making expected profits. And you may see we're making lots of expected profits, but we're losing. And that's a good sign to keep the faith and keep going in. You may see that we're breaking even, but our expected profits is losing. It's going, hey, well, maybe just tie down a bit. You know what I mean? So this is a very good indication of where we're at. But there are a few other things that I plan on doing this year as well. One is bookmaker efficiency. And I plan on doing this for every sport, to be honest, and not just NBA coming up. So let's have a look at a couple of scenarios. And these are hypothetical scenarios. They're not going to happen in real life, okay? But these are just like the 2 ends of the spectrum of what we're going to be looking at. So scenario 1, Team A and Team B, the opening price of the bookmakers is $1.90. Now let's assume that throughout the whole time between when it opened to when the sport has kickoff or tip-off or whatever you want, the finishing price is $1.90 as well. And let's imagine that for every single game that season, the opening price finished at the finishing price. What would you say then? You go, wow, that's pretty good bookmaker. I mean, they're very efficient. No matter what people are pumping in, the price stays the same. That's a very efficient market. You can't get any more efficient than that. That's a dream for bookmakers. But let's have a look at scenario 2. Opening price is $1.90 and the finishing price is $1.10 or $8. It could even be the other way around, with Team A at $8 or Team B at $1.10. And you go, wow, just imagine every single game that season was like this. You go, wow, that's so inefficient. There's so much opportunity to make money betting against that bookmaker. That's a very inefficient market, like so inefficient, like they can't possibly make money from that. So even with their VIG on top. So you've got two scenarios, one at one and one at the end, and you can measure what the bookmaker efficiency is for that year, or, that month, or whatever else like that. Now, that by itself doesn't really mean anything, but what you can do is compare year on year or month on month to see if the bookmakers are getting more efficient over time. And obviously, history has suggested that yes, they have got more efficient, but I guess you compare, is that efficiency cutting into your profits, or have they suddenly got more efficient? I don't know. Maybe something's happened. Maybe it's more predictable. They've hired a few more stats dudes or something like that, and that is the reason why perhaps we're not making as much, or perhaps I don't know. Maybe they aren't becoming more efficient. So we'll see. And that's what I plan on looking at doing and updating that once a week or so at least, to see where the bookmaker's efficiency is going. The other one, of course, is cutting the grass, and I don't know, a lot of people cut your grass. In a sense, let's look at two scenarios. One, the opening price is $1.90. We're betting 100. We're betting 100. We bet at the same price. Okay. So this is the opening price. This is the odds that we bet at, $1.80 and $1.70. We're not even looking at the finishing price in this case. We're just looking at the price movement from the opening price to the odds that we bet. So here we had a 3% movement in. Here we had a 6% movement in. Obviously, this is a better scenario than this. Okay. And now, once again, I expect the odds to move in our direction before we bet. I expect our odds to be cut before we make a bet or release our odds. That's a good sign that you've got a profitable model when money's on your side. But how much they're cutting it, that's the key. Okay. So it could be a scenario where, okay, we're beating the finishing line. That's great. Fantastic. Okay. But our odds are getting cutter year in, year out, by people betting, $20 early or something like that on the opening price. Maybe the bookmaker efficiencies come in and the cutting grasses come in, and hence we're getting a lot less value out of that, even if we're beating the finishing line. And so this is another thing that I want to look at year by year, or month by month even, and see if we're getting maximum value out of our profits and the bets that we make. Irrespective of how good our model is, you've got to also look at that scenario as well, and how the bookmakers are performing and how other punters are going, betting into markets. Are they cutting your lunch? Are you beating the finishing line? Are the bookmakers becoming more efficient? And that's three things that I plan on doing dynamically, and hopefully that works really well, and we can get a really good broad picture of what we're betting, what the value is, and if we're in a scenario where we're still got profitability to be made. So that's about it. NBA starts, I think, tomorrow. So it's going to be, hopefully, a lot more dynamic, a lot more bets suggested, a lot more information for you to work out if the market's going to be in a great place for you to create your bets. And even if you've got your own model or your own information, you might change your probabilities and stuff. Having this information about bookmaker efficiency and everything else like that is very valuable, and I'm sure that would be valuable to you. And hopefully we get off to a good start and another good NBA year, not last year. Thanks guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Feel free to ask me any questions.